sends nasty warning about Trump in front of crowd that leaves everyone in total shock. Known mostly for his destruction of America and the shredding of her founding principles, along with a significant case of self-aggrandization and narcissism, former President Barack Obama just cannot seem to stop himself from personally attacking any and all who would dare ideologically disagree with him. Obama warned his fellow progressives and Democrats that their mindless hatred of America and of all things Trump are going to derail any attempt they have of taking Washington back in 2018, warning instead of winning the American people over with charming words and stealth maneuvers. Obama echoed Hillary Clinton's disastrous basket of deplorables statement in 2016, stating, "We won't win people over by calling them names or dismissing entire chunks of the country as racist, or sexist, or homophobic." He echoed those thoughts in his September 7 speech in Illinois, stating, "Democrats cannot win if we think that somehow there's no way they can understand how I'm feeling, and therefore don't have any standing to speak on certain matters because we're only defined by certain characteristics." But as Breitbart News reports, Obama's cautionary message was hidden by his own resentments and is likely to be lost as Democratic identity groups compete to display their hatred of Trump, national-minded populists, and of popular immigration laws. Those Democratic hatreds are fueling support for radical legal changes that would blur the civic and legal distinctions between Americans and foreigners, between men and women, and between free speech and violent attacks. On September 4, for example, many thousands of progressives shared a tweet claiming that a white power sign was flashed by a top aide to Judge Brett Kavanaugh during his Senate nomination hearing for a seat on the Supreme Court. The progressives included Neera Tanden, the president of the Democrats' main think tank, the Center for American Progress. Breitbart News continued detailing the history of the recent crushing defeats suffered by the Democratic Party nominees, stating, "On the same day, a 10-term progressive representative Michael Capuano was easily defeated by upstart Boston progressive Ayanna Pressley on a platform which included the Abolish ICE demand for ending the enforcement of immigration laws." That election followed the June defeat of 10-term Representative Joe Crowley to his New York challenger, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who touted her Puerto Rican identity as she backed the Abolish ICE campaign. Both the Boston and New York districts have majorities of minorities, leaving the established white progressives out of sync, or defined by certain characteristics in Obama's words, with their identity politics basis. There has been a significant rise in anti-law enforcement, open borders, pro-migration views and progressive Democratic candidates across the nation. Some pushing openly socialist or even communist ideologies. Beto O'Rourke, the Democratic nominee running against current Senator Ted Cruz, TXR, notably told one voter, "When we see the fear that has been injected into our communities, that's not good for any of us. It's certainly not good for those who live directly under that fear. It's not good for the rest of us, who benefit from the contributions that those fellow members of our community can make." There is also the vilification of President Donald Trump himself and his allies, as well as the doxing of Trump supporters, along with a growing number of actual physical attacks on targets considered to be pro-Trump. To date there have been more than 500 physical attacks have been inflicted on Trump supporters, Breitbart News reported. Obama's personal resentments over President Trump's triumph in 2016 presidential election over Hillary Clinton also distorted his speech's appeal for civic generosity among Democrats. For example, he told his Illinois audience that, "To make democracy work we have to be able to get inside the reality of people who are different, have different experiences, come from different backgrounds. We have to engage them even when it is frustrating, we have to listen to them even when we don't like what they have to say, we have to hope that we can change their minds and we have to remain open to them changing ours. Common ground exists. Maybe it's not fashionable to say that right now. It's hard to see it with all the nonsense in Washington, it's hard to hear it with all the noise. But common ground exists. I have seen it. I have lived it." Obama utilized his usual divisive passive-aggressive style, subtly suggesting that all whites are racist, amid the carefully dressed uplifting rhetoric and careful warnings against tribal hatreds, stating, "I know there are white people who care deeply about black people being treated unfairly. I have talked to them and loved them." More directly, Obama also told his audience that the politics of division, of resentment and paranoia has unfortunately found a home in the Republican Party. Obama continuously used resentful and paranoid language intended to divide during his 2008 and 2012 presidential electoral bids and all through his tenure in Washington. He repeatedly characterized Republicans as bitter, racist, xenophobic, and angry with claims they chose to put party before country. By the end of Obama's Friday speech, he was attempting to revive his old mantra of hope and change from his 2008 presidential bid, stating change happens. Hope happens. Not perfection. Not every bit of cruelty and sadness and poverty and disease suddenly stricken from the earth. There'll still be problems. But with each new candidate that surprises you with a victory that you supported, a spark of hope happens. With each new law that helps a kid read or helps a homeless family find shelter or helps a veteran get the support he or she has earned, each time that happens, hope happens. With each new step we take in the direction of fairness and justice and equality and opportunity, hope spreads. And Obama is expected to continue to interject himself in the